What is the level of crisis here, Tom? Because you're the nation's authority on actually knowing how these referees are graded. You have expertise here.
Yeah, I just got a text from an executive who said the officiating has been embarrassing all season. That this is not an anomaly. What we saw last night, where Josh Hart is calling out the officials on a Jimmy Butler non-call. You had Luka Doncic, one of the biggest stars in the world. Like, he's doing a money sign, a money gesture at an official on national TV in a game. Mark Cuban is protesting or filing a protest on a game because of a botched call or miscommunication in the third quarter. And then you had an official who's been in the spotlight over the past couple of weeks because of the Fred VanVleet thing, the rant. That official had to admit to a blown call at the buzzer with two teams that are fighting for playoff position. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Like, we had Anthony Davis earlier this season saying the Lakers were getting cheated out of games because of the officiating, one of the biggest stars in the NBA. So this is not like what happened last night. To me, feels like an officiating Armageddon, where every game it seemed like things were going awry. But if you talk to executives and players and coaches, like, this has been going on all season, and the trust that these players and teams and coaches and executives have with officiating, I think it's as low as it's been since I've been covering the league.
Whoa. Big statement right there. Big statement right there from Tom Haberstroh. He is here along with Vinny Goodwill. And I know, Vinny, you put in your feed enough about the officials, and I say more on the officials. We need more conversations on it. So, Haberstroh, looking at these situations that have happened, you outlined them beautifully there. Where do we go from here? It does seem like we're in crisis.
Well, we have to figure out something, because we're not even into the playoffs right now. We're not in the playoffs, and that's when everything gets elevated and scrutinized, and it goes to times 10. So any sort of mini controversy is going to lead the A block, B block, and C block of the sports shows. Right now, the NBA is still playing second fiddle to March Madness, and still the officiating is a huge story. It's a tough thing because we've done this in the past, as Vinny knows, where the players will meet with the referee union or leaders of the referees and the NBA and have this meeting, the powers that be come together and break bread. I don't think that works either. I think players are feeling, and Trae Young talked about this recently, other players have talked about it, is that the referees hold power over the players in terms of being able to throw them out or give them technicals, take money out of their pockets, and yet players don't have that same sort of power over the officials. And I don't think that the players are absolved of any blame in this. What Luka Doncic did and got fined $35,000, that fine just came down today. I thought what he did was way over the line, and it's something that I'm surprised the league didn't come down harsher on. A $35,000 fine for a guy making $40 million, I don't think is going to change his behavior much. So I think there's got to be, from all sides, all stakeholders need to come together and figure out how to make this a non-story. I don't know how you do it, because the players are feeling very aggrieved and they're voicing those concerns. And I think the NBA has kept a tight lid on how they do officiating and how they grade officials. They don't release those reports on missed calls and correct calls. We just have to trust them. And I think maybe more transparency is needed here.
Yeah. What do you think, Vinny?
Well, they do release the 2-minute reports, which, I know everybody sort of feels like it's, crying over spilled milk. But, Tom, I'm very, very curious. Do you believe that, A, that this will continue, or B, or not say this will continue, just I'll spin it for in a better way. Do you think that the officiating, for those who don't know, the league will bring in Monty McCutcheon, who's the head of officiating? He will come to different arenas throughout the preseason. He'll sit with players and with the media and go over points of emphasis so that we can better disseminate how these games are being called in real time, especially with Twitter. Like, I've had many meetings with the officials, especially on what's a flagrant foul, what isn't. But, Tom, do you believe that this will be so costly that it will cost someone a playoff series? Because, Tom, I didn't feel like what happened in Dallas the other day, I didn't feel like that was on the refs. I felt like that was on Dallas. If you felt like that was your ball, you should be on your end ready to inbound it. Since when do you inbound the ball on the other side of the floor, even if it is your ball? So I felt like that was a slip up on Dallas's part, not the officials.
I think it's both. I think it's both. If you remember in that clip, Michael Smith, who is the second official in that game, was on the other side of the floor, the wrong side of the floor with the Dallas Mavericks. And you can see Jason Kidd talking to him off on the mic, hot mic, being like, hey, you told us it was our ball. Now, Amin Al-Hassan on the show on Levitard yesterday, he made the good point of, if it's your ball, why aren't you on the other side of the floor where the ball went out of bounds and taking it out there? So there was a mass confusion, lack of communication, that the umpire official in that game didn't have the presence of mind and the authority to say, like, hey, hold up, Michael, ball's over here. I'm about to inbound the ball, but Dallas, Michael, my officials aren't in the right spot. Hey, let's get everyone settled up and let's play ball. But let's not make mistake about this, that Jordan Poole was the smartest one of this whole bunch. He grabbed that ball out of Andy Nagy's hands and was like, yeah, it's our ball. We're going to get this bucket right here. That's a veteran move by Jordan Poole. He's always looking for the bucket. But I will say this, to your question, Vinny, about going forward and the communication amongst Monty McCutcheon, who's running the officials, and the players and the teams. I think for teams, they look back at earlier this season. If you remember the travel ban that happened in the regular season, out of nowhere, seemingly referees were enforcing travels at 3, 4, 5 times the normal rate, and then it was gone. That wasn't a point of emphasis before the season. It just came out of nowhere, and teams are like, what is this all about? You're going to start implementing certain rules at certain times. We got to know about that. And so for them, a lot of it is communication, just like what happened with the Mavs. The Dallas Mavericks weren't right in the communication department. Neither were the officials, and the Warriors are just going to take advantage of that. I don't think the blood is only on the officials' hands here. I want to be clear about that. But I do think that when they are changing the rules and enforcing rules differently as the season goes on, I think that speaks to a lack of communication and a lack of trust. And the communication just has to be better all around.
That's what it is. And I want to get both of you on this, because I want to make it clear. I'm not even going to talk about, how did you call that? I'm not going to talk about some of my pet peeves, officiating pet peeves. But let me just give you one of them. One of them is, I'll tell you one, because I don't want to hijack my own argument talking about my pet peeves. But it is usually when something is happening right under the basket and there's an official on top of it and a call comes from 45 feet away, that drives me crazy. Yep. Like, dog, you didn't see it? What are you doing blowing a whistle? You just want to be involved. Swallow the whistle. You didn't see what happened. And the guy right here under the basket didn't call a damn thing. Stay out of it. Stop doing too much. But I don't want to, that's not really what bothers me about officiating. I think Fred VanVleet was on the money. He talked about the spirit. He talked about the psychology. He was like, some guys come in there, some guys just decide he's going to be the a-hole that day. You can't say nothing to him. You go talk to him. He's ready. He's already triggered. He's ready to tee you up. I think that's the problem with a lot of officiating. We understand it's a tough job. We know the game is fast. We know these guys are bigger and stronger and faster than they've ever been before, and that when you walk into every arena, nobody is happy to see you. We got it. But you gotta accept that that's your job. You know, like you're dealing with emotional people in the stands and on the court, and when you bring that chip to the game, it really ruins the game. I think that's what VanVleet was saying. I agree with him 100%.
I want to jump in here real quick and make note of something that's happened the last couple of years that is different than in years past. That 5 years ago, it wasn't a part of the conversation, or 10 years ago. The betting culture right now has made it so much more difficult to keep your emotions in check as an official and as a player and as a coach. When every wrong decision you make, or missed shot, or layup bunny that you miss off the front iron, it becomes World War III to a lot of the fans in the arena, and are yelling at you, hey, I can't pay
Great
my
point.
mortgage now because of that blown call. Hey, my kid's not going to get a Christmas present right now because of a blown call. And I'm being nice when I say those things, right? It's a lot worse than what I'm saying right there. And people are saying, hey, betting's always been there. What are you talking about? People have been gambling since the dawn of sports. The difference is now that it's legal, fans don't have to be afraid about yelling and, saying these things on the record at these games. Now that it's legal in some of these states, they can go and talk all they want about their bets. And so before, you might be quiet. You might not want to be public about the fact you got money on this game. You got scratch on this game. Now, as Kyrie Irving did talk about it on one of his IG lives, the betting atmosphere or the betting conversation being infused into the games has everybody on edge, and that includes the players, not just the officials.
It's funny, Tom, and I think the last point before I move, because I want to hit something else with you. I do think that the wide ages, because the officials have gotten younger, like a lot of older officials that we've come to know by name and by face, they've retired, they've aged out, and you have a lot of younger refs who are trying to establish themselves. You have older players hanging around longer. So there's different sensibilities for each official and each player and each relationship there. I think that's an unknown sort of factor that's really, really hard to nail down as far as scientific evidence when it comes down to individual sensibilities. But Tom, we are in award season. I'm not sure if you know that. We are in award season where bonuses and supermax and rookie scale contracts, everything else. The best way that the CBA, the players and the owners decided it could be decided would be from the media. A, do you have a vote? Because I don't know if you got an email like I did recently about, do you want to vote? Do you believe that the media and their votes should determine bonuses on supermax contracts and rookie scale super extensions? Because a guy like Ja Morant has $40 million on the line this year and this year alone if he makes an All-NBA team, especially with everything he's got going on.
I think it should go by way of the AllStar voting, where it's a mix. It's a composite of different parties involved going into that vote, because I do agree that having journalists being responsible for $40 million in some cases, more than that in other cases. I remember Brian Windhurst, my guy from ESPN, he explained a few years ago when Anthony Davis was up for one of these, and he was going to get like a $25 million bonus depending on if he made All-NBA or what have you. And he made the point that if the 80 or so voters received a nice gift of a car from Anthony Davis, Anthony Davis would still profit off of giving every media voter a car to vote his way and greasing the wheels that way. Now, of course, Anthony Davis might not do that, but the point is made is that when you have incentives on the line, people are going to react. Economics 101 is you are going to react depending on the incentives. And for NBA players, I mean, it gets really dicey. And I remember Mark Spears, he just wrote about this, Hall of Famer Mark Spears, by the way. He said he doesn't want to do a vote because journalists shouldn't have to vote a certain way to earn access to certain players. And he told the story of a player not wanting to give an interview to a reporter who was requesting one because that reporter left him third or off a ballot. And that, to me, that's not good for the sport. I like the idea of media who cover every game and watch as many games as anybody on the planet being responsible for MVP. But I will say, I think it could be good to have some checks and balances in here, whether it's players, whether it's coaches, what have you, to be a panel in assessing the all NBA awards rather than just one party being responsible for it.
Yeah, that's a good point. We had Spears on yesterday. He told that story here as well. Like he's really uncomfortable with the voting because how it affects players. You think, oh, you just want to go talk to a guy. I'm like, well, wait a minute. Where do you stand before the conversation, before the interview starts? Did you vote for me? Did you vote for me?
Oh, they don't ask you.
Did you
They
vote
don't
for me?
ask. They
They already know.
They know. They know.
They already know.
I had a guy tell me you were one of the 9. I had a guy tell me recently you were one of the 9.
So no interview then? Since you were one of the 9, you're out?
No, I was one of the 9 that did vote for this guy. So he was like,
that did. So you
did.
You were in the divine 9 then. The divine 9.
There we go. There we go.
Let me ask you this, Haberstroh, before we let you go. I know it's a dangerous question after all the things we just said, but I'm going to ask you. MVP, rough draft, just like I asked Vinny. Rough draft right now. You don't have to submit the vote, but as you're working on it, if you had to submit it today, who would you vote for?
Man, if you asked me this question a month ago, I would say Jokic in a landslide. But the way that Joel Embiid has played, I've got it neck and neck. It's about a tie. And I think the only tiebreaker I have here, it's not a matter of performance or per minute numbers or advanced stats or looking at the standings. To me, Jokic has just been on the floor more than Joel Embiid. And so if there's a tiebreaker, it's just that he's been more available than both Giannis and Joel Embiid. So for me, it's probably a tie. And maybe a tiebreaker goes to Jokic. But you know what's great? We still got a couple more weeks left in the season. And so I won't have to put this in ink. It's still in pencil.
Just like I said with Vinny, don't add them, y'all. We just trying to have a conversation. Can we have a conversation without people being screamed at, having their integrity questioned, saying, without the Luka thing here?
Now I just got to figure out if I'm going to be 1 of 9 on someone, which athlete do I want to be 1 of 9 on? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
That is good. Where do you want to be? Like 1 of 9. That's good company to keep. To be 1 of 9, and athletes say thank you. Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.